Um, Welcome back to this video. Right. In this video, we are going to look into functions in C++. Right. So we'll be talking about the format. We'll be talking about the input/output. The return in functions, and how we can call the functions or use the functions, and prototype, parameter passing, and also a little bit on the variables. I've touched this in my previous video, and also the reference parameter. We have value and also reference parameters. Okay, let's have a look at I'll talk this based on example. All right, so imagine that you have a program. Let's say the program is actually to add two numbers, so you definitely need to at least two variables, integer x and integer y, because you want to add these two numbers. So what you normally do is to look for input from the user through keyboard using cint, and then ux. Maybe you have to ask the user to key in two numbers. Right. Key in two numbers. And then after that, you are going to display the additional of these two numbers. X plus y. Or you can have another variable, right? And after the key in the range, you want to add the two numbers, x plus y, and to display the z. Alright, so when I run this program, and then you have to key in two numbers, and then it will add the numbers and then display as number 3 here. Okay, right, so this is you code your program under the main function. So main itself is a function. In your program, you must have at least one functions called main. Alright, so you can also have different functions, right? Imagine that you have a very long say you have a very long code here, right? And then you have so many things to do under main. So in fact, if those particular block of program is something that you need to do it again and again and again, it's either you want to put it in the loop, or you can also take it out, as a function. So for instance, this example is actually to add two numbers, and you want to take it out as a function, so that you just simply call and use it, right? So before, when we put this maths, includes math.h, right? So you can just simply use this square root, and then calculate the square root of z here, right? So this is an example of a function, which is a function the square root of 4 is 2. So this is a function also under this library. What we're going to touch on today is just exactly like this. We are going to create a function, so that in your main function, we just call the function and use it like this. In this case, this function is defined in this library. So if you open this library, then you can see how they do the square root inside that library. Alright, so this is just an example, so I don't want to make you confused. Let's just take out this one first, and then so now how are we going to create a function to call and then call it, and this function is actually to add two numbers. Alright, this is actually the additional, right? So you can create a function. So in a functions, the format, you must have the name of the function. In this case it is main. So imagine that you let's say you want to have this function called additional, yeah. So make sure it is not a reserved word, right? So additional is the name of the functions, and just like main, you have a bracket here, and then you have a variable or the data type over here. So this is actually the one that you're going to return, yeah. So you must have a body like this, like main. You have the curly bracket. This is for main, and this is for additional, yeah. So additional. So when this main function returns 0, 0 is an integer. So this is actually the data type that you are going to return. So and so in the functions, right? So depending on what you want to return, yeah. So in this case, you want to return the additional number, which is also an integer, right? So that is the one that you're going to the data type that you're going to return under this additional, because you want to return the z value. Z is actually an integer. So in this case, this z is in this main, so you have to declare this z under this functions as well, yeah. Alright, so if you want to call this function, right, you have to call the name of the function, right? So what you're gonna do is you call that function additional, right? And definitely you want to give these two numbers, right? It is just like when you call the square root, right? You are giving the number to that function, and the function will calculate and return the answer. So in this case, that you want to do the additional, and you give the numbers, yeah. So say you want to give the value of x and y, yeah. So in this case, right, you should be receiving that value here. So you have to declare the variable to receive that, yeah. So you can use x, you can use y, you can anything. Let's say I just want to make you confused, and we make it as an a, and then we have an integer b. So in this case, when we call this additional, right, we are giving the two numbers, right? Okay, and these two numbers will be receiving whatever we key in under x and y. So a will be equal to x, b will be equal to y, and then we want to add those two numbers, right? A plus b. So now z is equal to a plus b, which is actually the one that we receive from x and y. Alright, and then we return that z, because of z is an integer, so we have to make sure that the return data type is an integer as well. Alright, so in this case, we do not need this one anymore, right? And in fact, this is actually, you can display that like the square root just now. Alright, okay, so let's run this program. Yes, this is LATURN. Yeah. Okay, so let's say we want to add 3 and 4. Yeah, press enter, and 3 plus 4 is 7. So this will display number 7. So let's have a look at this. Alright, so I repeat, a function consisting of the name of the function, the input that you are going to receive, and the data type that you are going to return. So this is just like, a process. You'll be receiving an input, the input here, and then you will produce the output, the one that you return. So when you want to use it, right, you just call the name of the function, right, and then give whatever parameters or the data or the values that are required by this function. In this case, if you look at here, it should be receiving 2 integer number. Then you have to give 2 integer number here. Alright, and then it will call, in fact, yeah, this is first instruction, second, third, and fourth. So before the next instruction, it will jump to this function and assign A with X and B with Y. So the value will be copied to A and also B. So Z is the variable under this function, and you can calculate that. Alright, then when you return Z, Z is actually the additional of these numbers. So by right, this is supposed to be the additional of X and Y as well, yeah, because you are giving the value to this A and B, and since this will be returning the value of Z, and it will display the additional of the two numbers. So this is actually a function. So the reason why we have these features or ability to write the functions is actually to make sure that your main program will not be that long, and anything that you need to do it repeatedly, and then we just simply call that function like this. You can have another X and Y, and then if you want to do the additional, then we just call the name of the function, so it's easier. So rather than you have to code this, repeat this again and again here, right? So that is actually one of the reason why function is so important. Alright, so in this case we are actually write the function above the main, as we know that C++, when you compile it, when you run it, the main functions that they are going to look at first is the main functions. But in this case, since these functions is written above the main, so the system knows what is this function, because this is above main. What will happen if this is actually what will happen actually if we cut this and then we put this under the main, yeah, like that. So to run that, alright, so you will get an error. If you look at this error, additional was not declared in this scope. So because this is below main, if the computer run this program, it will look into the main, and then it will not understand what additional is all about. So when the computer try to read every single instruction here, when it comes to this part, what is this additional? So that is the reason why if you put these functions above main, the system will read line by line based on sequence from the top. So the computer will discover this additional. So in order to solve this problem, you have to write and tell the system that, look, you have this prototype, or you have this function in this file, CPP file. So what you need to do is to write a function prototype, function prototype. So what you need to do is actually to copy that and then you put it here, but without the variables, without the variables. So you want to tell the system that you have these functions in these files. So don't forget to put this as the end of instruction, because this is what we call as prototype function, prototype, function prototype. So you need to put this under main, because you actually put your the functions below the main. Alright, so if you compile this, and then you will be able to run program. 4 plus 5 is supposed to be 9. So by doing this, you are telling the system that, look, you have additional functions right somewhere in these files. Alright, so now if you look at here, you are giving x to A, y to B, right? So imagine that if, let's say, I change the B, B, or let's say A is equal to 10, so by right, in this case, A, which is 10, will be added with B, so any number in B, so the A will be overwritten by this number 10. So when we run this, by right, if we add two numbers, let's say 1 1 is supposed to be 2, but this x, which is 1, will be overwritten by this value. So the A is now equal to 10. So 10 plus 1 will become 11. So it will become 11. Alright, so because you are changing the value of A. But okay, let's say if I try to display alright, it's easier. Answer, and then I want to, let's say, the value of x, is equal to, then we want to see what is the value of x, right? So now when you run this, by right, if I key in 1, sorry, I run it again. Okay, when I run this program, right, by right, if I key in 1 and 1, right, so this x is equal to 1, y is equal to 1 as well, so it will be copied to A and B, and in this case A, which is 1, which is equal to x just now, this one, and then B, which is equal to y, which is 1 as well. So when you change A into 10, the result will be 10 plus 1, which is 11. But when we display this x, because A is actually got the value from x, so if we change A do you think that X will be changed? Right, so let's have a look at, I press enter. Sorry. Alright, so if you look at here, the answer is 11, but the X itself is actually number 1. Yeah, so in this case, actually we are not changing X, we only change A. So A is equal to 10, but X still remain the same as 1. So in this case, actually whatever changes in A and B will not change the value of X and Y, right? So in this case, actually you are giving the value to A and B. Alright, so is there any way for you to, at the same time change the value of X by changing A? So you can use by reference parameters. So what you can do is actually to put that sign of the and sign. Yeah, you can put it here, or you can put it here as well. It is just the same. Yeah, in this case, this sign is actually called address. So this will receive an address of the variable. So if you give X to A, it will get the address of X. Yeah, the address of Y for B. So address in your memory, actually you have when you declare like integer X, right? So you are actually allocating a space in your memory, right? And with a reference, which is the address. So when you give the address to that variable, and then you want to change that the address of the variable, you want to change the variable, so it will change where is the address of that variable. Yeah, so meaning to say that if you are giving X to this, then this will be receiving the address of X, the address of X. So whenever when you change A, it will change the referring to the address of X, so it will change X. Yeah, so in this case, if I change A equal to 10, and then you will see whether we can change X. Yeah, we run again. Alright, we have to make sure that you have because you changed already your variables here into an address. You have to change that one as well. Okay, so let's say I put 1 and 1, and I press enter. Right, if you look at here, A is equal to 10, and then 10 plus B is the input is 1. We change A, it was initially as 1, which is from X, but then we change that value into 10, and A now equal to 10, so plus B, which is a number 1, so Z is equal to 11, so it will return the value 11, so it will display answer is equal to 11. Right, then the next instruction is to display the X. So since A is an address, we'll be receiving the address of X, so when we change A, it will change actually the positions of X, the referring we are referring to the address of x. So whenever we change a, it will also referring to the address of x, because this variable will be receiving the address. Yeah, so this will be referring to the x itself. So when we change a, it will change the memory allocations for x, right? So that is the reason why x itself will be changed. All right, so it will be changed to x, right? Okay, so in this case, you are actually can use this function to change the value of the variable in this function. All right, and so that if you need to do this, then you can use this concept, which is reference parameter. All right, of course, that in my previous lecture, in my data, I think it was in the first video, I did mention about the global variable, right? If you have a global variable like integer x just now, yeah, integer x. Let's say only this integer x is the global variable, and then I want to remove this. Yeah, so this main will refer to this x, so this x will refer to this x. So let's say I don't want to use that and sign, so I have to remove this one as well. Alright, so by right, if I do not use reference parameter, right, now it will not change x. But since x is actually a global variable, right, then you can you don't have to in fact pass this x to this in order for you to use the additional numbers, but it's okay. I just want to give an example here, right? And but if you change a, right, it will not change x. Yeah. Let's have a look at here. 1 1. Right, it will not change x, but in this case you are allowed to change directly x, or if you do want to give the value of x, because you don't have to pass the x value to this in order for you to to add these two x and y, because x is actually the global variable, can be accessed by both functions. All right, so in this case, yeah, let's say I run this. Let's yeah, it's supposed to be y, sorry, y. Alright, so let's say if I key in 1 and 1, yeah, so x is 1, y is 1, but we just want to pass y to this function, because the x, you can get directly as the x is actually a global variable, and when you change x into 10, then you will see whether this x will be changed as well. Yeah, oh sorry, I press enter here. Right, if you look at here, the answer is 11, right, because 10 plus 1, yeah, 10 plus 1. And if you change x here, it will actually change the value of x under the main function, because both are actually referring to the same x. Alright, so but as I mentioned before, this is something that you we need to avoid this global variable, unless if you want to use that to declare a constant variables that can be used by all the functions in this file, yeah, like the value of pi, the value of the gravity, and so on. Alright, so I think that's it for this video. If you look at the list here, yeah, we discussed about functions, and then the format. You must remember about the name and also the input and output, and how we're going to use the returns. You have to, like main, then you have in your function as well, and depending on this data type, then you have to put your data type here. All right, and then we have discussed about the parameter passing. We have reference parameter and also value parameter, right? So if you want to change the value of the variables in different functions, make sure that you receive the address of the variable, yeah, and then you can use that and sign like this, yeah. And you need to if you put your functions below the main functions, you have to have the function prototype. And in terms of local and global variables, so if you put that any variables as a global variable, and the variable can be accessed by different functions, yeah. Alright, so I think that's it in this function. So hopefully that after this your program will be not that long on the main program, right? If it is too long, you can take it out and create a function, so it is easier for you, so that you have a lot of functions here, and then your main program will be shorter than before, right? And then it will become more organized and easy to read. All right, I think that's it for this video. All right, I see you again in my next video. Bye.